What's up, everybody? Dan here with Dan and Sarah Makers, and I'm back with another hammer review. So I know I did a hammer review quite a while ago on Tool Tuesday where I showed some of the basic hammers that were out there, some all steel hammers, some wood hammers, some titanium hammers, finishing hammers to framing hammers, things like that, and just kind of did a basic broad overview. But I decided I'm going to delve into a little bit of a series here, and I am going to cover popular, what I would consider framing hammers right now. So a lot of these are hammers that I see carpenters on my job site and other job sites using, and they typically like them. We're going to start out with the least expensive, and we're going to go up all the way up to probably the most expensive hammer you can find out there nowadays. It's pretty popular. All of these, I'm going to look at similar features, what they can and can't do, things I think a hammer should have, things they don't have, and just kind of go through and say, okay, this is what I like about this hammer, this is what I don't like about this hammer. I don't think any of these hammers are absolute garbage, and I don't think any of them are absolutely perfect for all situations. So I'm going to touch on the high points, the low points, and just some of the different features and benefits of these hammers. And then as I'm done going through all the hammers, I'll do one hammer per video. I think we'll do kind of a head-to-head shootout or nail out at the end and see, when they're compared side by side, what do they feel like, what I would actually go with. And you know, honestly, it might be a couple different hammers in the end that I would recommend getting. So we're starting with the least expensive, and we are looking at the Hart brand hammer. So Hart, I think I got this one at Home Depot. You can find them online, as pretty much any of these hammers you can find them online at many different places. This is the least expensive. Let's say I got my little cheat sheet over here. This one comes in online at about $26, which is a pretty good price. It's a steel handled, all one piece hammer. It's got some hollowed out spots for weight reduction. It's rated at 21 ounces, but with hammers, they actually just rate these by the head weight, which I'm assuming is pretty much where the handle ends. That's where the head begins, and that would be the weight. So I've got this, let's see, let's go to just ounces. That's grams. Ounces. So the overall weight of this, which is what you're actually going to be carrying around all day in your bags, is 36.9 ounces. So that is over 2 pounds. So it's pretty hefty, from 21 ounces to 36. So we've got a little bit of additional weight in the handle. The handle where you actually grip it, this would be considered a curved handle. It's got a little bit of a kick here on the end. It's a rubber, black rubber with red. Looks like the rubber is over molded with this harder plastic red portion here. Don't know how durable that would be, if it would tend to slide off over time. Sometimes hammers, actually, these handles will slide off and you have to pound the end to get it back on. This one hammer does have some cool features though. It's got a magnetic nail holder on top, which is really common with a lot of hammers nowadays. It's got a side striking face on the side cheek here of the hammer. So on this face, it's actually got a solid face for striking, because when you're in tight spots, sometimes you actually need to use the side of the hammer head to drive nails. So that's kind of a neat feature that they've included. On the opposite side, they actually have a nail puller built into this side of the hammer. So when you need additional leverage, you can actually slide the hammer head on to a nail and use the hammer sideways. That's a good feature. A lot of hammers, you can take the claw and twist back and forth and pull a nail that way. But with this one, you also have this side leverage in this way, plus the claw. So that's kind of a neat feature here. One thing just in how I see this hammer, it's got a milled face. I think all the hammers that I'll talk about will have milled faces, so these will all be basically framing hammers, wood framing hammers. Being that this is all steel, it's going to be really durable. If you're working around concrete forms, rebar, things like that, if you overstrike a steel stake or hit rebar inside of formwork, you're not going to rip up your handle like you would a fiberglass or a wood handle. So that's kind of a neat feature. The head's not going to come loose because it's not epoxied on or just wedged on like a wooden handle, but it is heavy. So That's a plus and a negative. Heavy is good, especially if you're driving 16 penny nails or sometimes even bigger. I've been on jobs where we had to sink 20 penny nails into sill plates down into subfloors because they were putting a lightweight concrete coating on. So we were going through 3x sill plates and doing it basically 2 rows every 6 inches on center. So a heavy hammer is nice for that. You just get down there and just start going to town. A lighter weight hammer will really tire you out. So sometimes you need that mass just to drive those nails. One thing that I did notice on this hammer, which I'm not really keen on, is the way that the nail placement, the face where this nail is driven or held on the head, it actually has a angled portion. So if you put the nail in, it's not all the way back and it'll slide up, which will actually camp the nail down. So if you have it all the way down, you use the nail setting attachment, that nail can slide up and possibly pop out or misdrive, not as straight as you'd like it. So that's kind of an odd feature in my opinion. It's got a heavy lacquer on it which chips off over time, and it does rust. So wherever that lacquer's come off, it's got rust spots on it. So we'll take it out, we'll drive some nails, and I'll give you my impression of what I think it feels like when you're actually driving nails. Alright, one thing that I forgot to mention in the first part of this video is one nice feature about this hammer is from the end of the claw to the face of the hammer, we actually have exactly 6 inches, which is a real nice feature. A lot of nailing schedules is a 6 and 12 for a typical wall, which means that every 6 inches along the seam of a sheet of plywood or OSB, you drive a nail every 6 inches, and in the field you drive a nail every 12 inches. This being 6 inches makes it real easy when you go through and check your nail schedule. You basically can just walk along and put your hammer down, so there's a nail at the head of the hammer and a nail at the end of the hammer, and that gives you a real quick, easy way of double checking your nail spacing when you're going through and inspecting wall sheeting, roof sheeting, things like that. So that's a nice feature that I like to kind of keep in mind with a hammer when I'm looking at them. And then the other item is the overall length for the hammer. It is right around 16 inches long. So we are back from our super duper scientific test with our hammers outside. This one, this Hart. To be perfectly honest with you, I was using extremely hard wood. That was a leftover piece of dunnage or cribbing for whatever that got shipped to our job site. So it was an extremely hard piece of 4x4. So I guess that's good for the test. This particular hammer, the Hart, not too bad. I like the fact that it was able to pull nails. It gripped the nails pretty well and pulled them. The head's kind of small, so you have to have pretty good aim. Easy to kind of glance and drive the nail crooked if you aren't paying attention. And it feels kind of heavy in your hand. So on the whole, it's not a bad hammer. It seems to do what it needs to do. I would definitely recommend it for heavier duty construction work, demolition, concrete, formwork, stuff like that. Where the hammer needs to be heavier, you're going to give it a little bit more abuse than just straight wood wall framing. So for the price point, it's a pretty good hammer. It's got a lot of features. One feature, which is the side head, for driving nails sideways. That's a feature that none of the other hammers have. It's got the puller mounted here, so it's good at pulling nails out of pretty tough wood. One feature I don't like is the magnetic nail setter on it. It's got that little lip right there that just, I don't know why they don't have it milled smooth. I don't know whether it was for casting or what, but they should have maybe paid a little bit more attention to that one little spot there. But on the whole, not too bad. So be sure to thumbs up, like this video, leave comments if you have experience with this hammer. I'd love to hear about it. Everybody's experience is different. You may have really good things to say about it. It might work awesome in certain situations. You might have some really bad things to say about it. It might work horribly in certain situations. So leave some comments. Let everybody know what you think, what your impressions are. And be sure to like, thumbs up, subscribe, share, and stay tuned for the next one in the series. Until next time, this is Dan with Dan and Sarah Makers. Bye.